All right, we've now been joined by Tyler Reddick. If you have a question for Tyler, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll work to get a microphone to you, and we'll start with Bruce.
Your thoughts on coming back in here as the defending winner? A lot of times when people win at Indianapolis, they say it's a little bit of a career-changing experience. Have you discovered that?
I mean, this is really just an incredible venue, honestly. It's been around for so long. It has so much history. It is pretty crazy to roll back up on this place. My son pointed out, "Hey, Dad, you're on the grandstands over here." As we roll in, it's all really surreal. Yeah, I remember so much of it. They're memories that will always stay with me.
All right, we'll go to Jordan and then Kelly.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. You look at this weekend, this is probably the last super weekend with NASCAR, IndyCar here because of the scheduling constraints and everything, and NASCAR going back to the Oval likely next year. Are you sad to see that weekend go?
I mean, I hope if it does go away from here, that we find somewhere else to do it on the schedule going forward. I think having both series at the same place it's a great opportunity for the drivers, the crews, and the fans to experience both.
And from your, I guess, perspective, has it been a weekend? Has it been a successful weekend for both series and this, motorsports in general of having them race here?
I feel like it's always really exciting, but I guess I'm looking at it from the driver's point of view. Always seems like we're fighting this year. Anyways, we've been fighting a lot of weather, and that makes plans uncertain for some. But yeah, I think cars are on track. The drivers in all the series have gotten more and more acclimated to running on wet or damp track conditions, wet tires. So, we'll see how the track continues to dry, but it'll probably be pretty dry pretty soon. But from my point of view, I always really enjoy it and feel like it works really well.
All right, we'll go to Kelly. Go ahead.
Kelly Crandall, Racer.com. Tyler, on the topic of the oval, Doug Bowles told us on SiriusXM yesterday that maybe it's worth having some conversations of, if you go back to the oval, maybe flip-flopping every other year, then the following year would be the road course again, and then back to the oval, if that makes sense, kind of every other year type of thing. Just your thoughts on that. Would you like to see this road course stay, or if we go back to the oval, do you just want it to stay on the oval?
I think it's just seeing how the test goes. A lot of folks in NASCAR, even me, honestly, I enjoy being on the oval, but we need it to be a good race. We need to be able to race each other. What we kind of departed from racing, the style of racing we had here, it was just very difficult to do anything right. So if we really can't race each other well and pass, I don't know if we really should run the oval, but we'll see all shortly. But certainly if it works out where we can run both, I mean, I think a lot of the diehard NASCAR fans would love to see the oval only back, but you'll never hear me complain about road course racing.
The restart zone being moved between turns 13 and 14 to hopefully spread the field out before you get to turn 1, try to eliminate that carnage. Daniel Suarez thinks that'll fix maybe 70 to 80% of the problems going into turn 1. What's just your thoughts on at least attempting to move the restart zone and try to calm down what we've seen going into turn 1 the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair, honestly. Yeah, you pretty much have to save us from ourselves because, these cars are really resilient. The nose and tails are really strong. And, we restart or start from where we have here in the past, the 2 times that we've done this. It's just so tempting to try and outbrake the other car, and the next thing you know, you're 8 wide, and there's no room into turn 1. So I think it's the right move. Honestly, I felt like, even at Chicago, it was damp and it was single file. If you still had a good enough awareness of where your braking markers were, you could still pass going into the corner, even single file. So I think you'll still see plenty of racing on the restarts. It'll just be a little bit more, a little bit more it'll just be not as chaotic, I guess. And that's, I think, what we need. You don't want to see guys that are in there that have been running in the top 5 all day just getting wiped out because someone from 15th decides to, jam it in there.
All right, we'll go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, CatchFence.com. Denny talked a little bit about the pit crew situation, and How worried are you about that going into the playoffs? I mean, he said it's a work in progress, but um, it must seem like an eternity for you to get the pick for where they need to be, so you can rely on consistent stops throughout the course of the race.
I mean, it's part of the process, right? The team's young, they're building, they're doing the things that they need to do, and it's just part of it. So, yeah, it can get frustrating at times for sure, as I'm sure everyone heard, but we're all working through it, and we keep doing the difficult parts of it, I would say, and it's really difficult to do. It's difficult to win a race if you don't bring a fast race car, and we've been bringing a lot of fast race cars, so we'll keep putting ourselves in those positions. And hopefully things go well on pit road, and we continue to learn from our mistakes. And that's just the biggest thing. We can learn from the mistakes and move forward. Then it's all worth it.
Last year, you had a teammate benefit from basically the seas parting at Daytona, coming through and winning and jumping into the playoffs. How chaotic do you expect that final race before the cutoff to be when we get to Daytona?
Yeah, it'll be really crazy for sure. A lot of drivers that aren't locked in are capable of winning there. So from my side of things, I'm safe for the most part. Just try and win as many stages and races between here and there. And for Bubba's point of view, it's continue to collect stage points and hopefully win a race before you get there too. Obviously, I know he'd love to do that. So they're doing their part. They're getting safer and safer from that danger zone. But yeah, I've been in that position a few years ago where it's just one of the most stressful 3 hours of your life. It feels like it's never going to end. It feels like it's all going to come apart at any moment.
All right, we go ahead. Yep, there you go. And then we'll go to Pat with MRN. Go ahead.
You alluded to earlier about how cool it was to see yourself on the grandstand as a past winner. I don't know if you've had a chance, but in the Hall of Fame Museum, there is a wall that has a timeline of all the people who have won at this track, and now your name and likeness is going to be on that wall forever. Just think about, and talk about what that means to you to think of all the people who have ever won at this track, and now your name stands alongside them, and it's probably going to be like that forever.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, honestly. I never really got to come experience a lot of racing here when I was younger, but I always watched, always paid attention. That Sunday, earlier in the year when Monaco's on, then Indy's on, and then we go race to the 600. It's probably one of my favorite days of the year. You just get to watch so much motorsports, and I wish hopefully one day to be here for it all on that Sunday in the future. I just always really enjoyed watching it, and it's felt like the racer's holiday. But be on the walls in the museum here, it's pretty crazy. It didn't seem very real in the moment when it happened last year, but it's certainly sunk in. The trophy's real, everything's real. I hope to be able to do it again.
All right, go ahead.
Tyler, when you go to a road course, especially Indianapolis and Watkins Glen, when you look forward to the next week, how aggressive do you feel like you need to be or can be at those tracks, knowing that A, you race really well at them, and B, it's one of those things where for you, that's where you've been successful?
Yeah, it just all falls in where the pace of our car is. If our pace of our car is really good, I can kind of just do my deal and be fine. If we need a little bit of speed, I'll just up the aggression until I find the limit or step over it. So hopefully, again, we have really good pace here. Coda, Sonoma, and Chicago, we had plenty of pace. It just came down to execution a little bit. So I'm excited to see what we have on track in a little bit. Depending on what the track conditions are, might take me a little bit longer to figure it out. But I always feel like this track has been pretty straightforward for me, and I've always really enjoyed it. So yeah, it's just to see where you stack up with the field, and if you need to push more, we will.
All right, we're going to go to Nate and then Dustin. Go ahead.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Tyler, going back to Michigan and the pit crew situation, when you did the debrief, is one of the learnings that you guys had the time to change 4 tires because you were waiting on fuel, and it seemed like they were kind of rushing to change 4 tires, and like the typical amount of time when they actually had a few extra seconds is when you talk about the learnings, is it kind of like the foundation is there? It's just a matter of being more situationally aware?
Yeah, it's one of the difficult things about it for sure. Is, at Nashville a while back, we had something very similar happen. We weren't waiting on fuel there, but obviously at Michigan we were. So, it's just something we got to do better at. We just got to be on top of it. But I'm not innocent either. I've made plenty of mistakes this year. I feel like I've cost our team 2 chances of winning from driver mistakes at Richmond and at Chicago Street Course. So we all make mistakes. It's all part of it. We just got to do our part to learn from it and move on. And just we can't afford to repeat those mistakes, obviously.
And then SVG's win at Chicago, there's a lot of focus on his heel-toe, right foot braking. As good as you are at road courses, is that something you even look at as, like, would you even consider doing that if you thought it could improve, or are you happy with what you're doing now?
Yeah, I think, it's definitely something I'll try and play around with, but I'm not good at by any means. I've never heel-toed anything in my life. I'm really bad at it. I think there's always going to be certain conditions that will allow that to be an advantage potentially, having that little bit extra control of the rear tires. And, in damp conditions here, it might be useful, but the sun is out, it is drying out. But a place like Chicago where you don't have a lot of room for error, it's just one extra way to kind of control your rear tires when you have something go wrong. Certainly, I feel like if I had been able to brake the way that he was, right foot brake at Chicago, I probably don't crash into the tire barrier, but I wasn't going to pick it up in 12 hours and be good at it for sure. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'll get bored and try it. I don't know.
All right. I had one. Dustin, yes, go ahead.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Tyler, obviously you're not the first. You won't be the last to express frustration on a radio after a situation, but in this world of internet, it gets carried all over the place. And I'm just curious, when you have a situation like that, does there need to be a conversation, or what is the conversation like with the team so that, they're going to hear it not only that one time, but, it's easy to hear it everywhere else, and how it doesn't become something that festers?
Yeah, I think sometimes the best thing you can do is just let it go, let it out. Worst thing you do is sit on it and let it fester, right? So if you're frustrated, I think there's time and a place, right? But I think in that situation, it was better just get it out, move on, debrief about it, and get ready for the big week we had ahead here at Indy. So obviously, can't complain like that every week on the radio, and I try not to. So, just save it for when I guess it matters.
Again, everybody gets frustrated. I don't know if it was embarrassing, or do you just move on from it because that's out there and that's you.
Yeah, you never want to lose your cool, but certainly if you're hot about something, it's best to just let it go and move on. If you sit on it for weeks and weeks and weeks and don't really let it go, let it out, it's not really helping you either. So there's a balance there for sure.
All right. Any final questions? All right, Tyler, thank you for your time. We wish you the best of luck this weekend.
All right, thank you.